Welcome back to Books with AR, Chapter 22, Scattering Technique. After returning to his room, he immediately closed the door. He didn't use the chi gathering pills, but kept them in his bag of holding. He was about to start an experiment with the stone bead. He cautiously took out the 3 gourds and the stone bead, then pondered a little and revealed an uncertain expression. He was weighing the pros and cons, because without the dew, his future cultivation speed will be very slow. But the mysterious clouds on the stone bead made Wang Lin very curious. After thinking for a while, he made his decision. He could always collect more dew. It would just take some time. However, if the 10th cloud appeared, it could cause a change to the bead. Maybe then, the water the bead soaks in will contain even more spiritual energy. After he thought about this, he immediately took out the gourd that contained the best morning dew. It took him a long time to get the jelly out of the gourd. After a while, all the dew had been poured out. There was half a stone bowl of greenish liquid, containing a very refreshing smell. After smelling it, Wang Lin's body relaxed. He was afraid that the smell would attract the attention of the hidden experts in the sect, so he quickly threw the stone bead into it. After a while, it absorbed a bit of the liquid. Wang Lin was a bit disappointed. He was hoping that there would be a sudden change. However, the stone bead was absorbing the smell from the liquid. Wang Lin pondered a bit, then put the stone bowl next to his bed. He sat down on his bed and started to cultivate. The 1 long and 3 short breathing technique was now easy for Wang Lin. Although in the past 2 months, he hadn't condensed any spiritual energy, he had become used to the breathing technique. He would breathe like this even when he wasn't cultivating. The night passed, and Wang Lin opened his eyes to check on the stone bowl. He saw that half of the liquid had been absorbed by the stone bead. He was not discouraged and put the bowl back under his bed. After hesitating for a while, he took out a chi gathering pill and put it in his mouth. He felt heat immediately come from within his body. In the month with Sun Dazhu, he had experienced this process every day. He quickly started cultivating. He cultivated until night came. Wang Lin slowly let out a white breath and smiled wryly and said, "This chi gathering pill is just like Sun Dazhu's drugs, also made from some herbs containing a lot of spiritual energy. Every time I eat them, my body feels relaxed and full of energy. I also don't feel hunger, but I still can't condense any spiritual energy." He sighed. Wang Zhuo could achieve the first layer of qi condensation in 3 months. His expression remained the same, but had mixed feelings in his heart. Talent. It's the most important part of cultivating. But with Wang Lin's personality, he wouldn't give up so easily. He had the mysterious bead. He wasn't lacking any spiritual energy. Although he couldn't condense any spiritual energy now, he would definitely succeed with time. Time. He bit his lip and sighed. He took out the stone bowl from under his bed. There was only a little bit of liquid left, but the 10th cloud hadn't appeared. He immediately took out another gourd and poured the liquid into the bowl. There was some extra liquid left over, so Wang Lin drank it and continued to cultivate. The heat that appeared in his body this time was stronger than all the previous times. He could feel the heat moving in his body. He quickly felt very thirsty, but continued to cultivate. After a short while, he felt that something was wrong. The heat didn't dissipate like before, but started to gather more and more as he breathed. He felt like his body was a balloon that had reached its limit. Wang Lin was afraid, so he stopped cultivating, but the pain of swelling stayed. He opened his eyes and immediately found out in horror that all his blood vessels were swollen, like there were worms under his skin. Wang Lin didn't know that the drugs he ate before didn't generate much spiritual energy, And even with the spiritual energy he gathered from nature using the breathing technique, he couldn't make up for how much spiritual energy he lost due to his talent. Plus, at the most important moment, the key scattering grass would prevent him from successfully condensing the spiritual energy. But now, he drank the dew that contained much more spiritual energy than the drugs, much more than what he lost due to his talent. If he didn't cultivate, they would just dissipate after a while. But now, his spiritual energy would rise, as if it were fire being fed by oil when he cultivated. He knew he messed up, but he didn't know what to do. He could only watch his blood vessels expand. When his blood vessels were at their limit, an idea entered his head. Without much time to think, he grit his teeth and started to cultivate with the 1 short and 3 long breathing technique. He thought that 1 long, 3 short was gathering spiritual energy, so the reverse must be scattering spiritual energy. Wang Lin's guess was more or less correct. Most cultivators knew this technique because this was the step before foundation establishment. With his breathing, streams of spiritual energy exited from every part of his body. It was all sucked in by the stone bead under his bed. As time passed, the swollen feeling gradually lessened. His blood vessels also returned to normal. What was releasing from his body now was no longer spiritual energy, but some dark key that the stone bead didn't absorb that dissipated in the air. This lucky coincidence allowed Wang Lin to remove the key scattering grass from his body. If one wanted to force out the key scattering grass, one method was to use a lot of spiritual energy to force out all of it. This was the method Sun Dazhu was using, but he had a change of heart about Wang Lin and didn't want to lose any more of his herbs, so he gave up. The second method was to use the scattering technique. That was to remove all the spiritual energy from one's body, then start cultivating from the start. The reason Sun Dazhu didn't use this method is because Wang Lin already had almost no spiritual energy, so he couldn't even use the technique. The scattering technique lasted a whole day and night. Wang Lin was so tired he collapsed on his bed. He knew that he was able to save himself this time, but in the future, he mustn't carelessly drink the dew. He was extremely tired, so he fell asleep.